Hi everyone, welcome to the Global Sports Channel's football show. I'm your host David Barbash. I'd like to take a moment to wish all of our viewers worldwide in over 100 countries a happy and a healthy new year from all of us at the Global Sports Channel. We surely appreciate you tuning in and we're wishing you an incredible year ahead. It's been an interesting year, and usually I would say this would be week 18 for all of the teams in the league. However, it's because of postponements. There was one of the games postponed, Aston Villa Everton. Some teams like Aston Villa have only played 15 games at the end of this weekend. Man City and Everton will have played 17. The majority of the league will have played 18 games, and some have reached the halfway point for the season. Crystal Palace, Wolves, Brighton and Sheffield United. So let's dive into the action, and the first game up was on Thursday. It was Mikel Arteta's side, Arsenal, playing host to Crystal Palace. The visitors coming in are only one win in the last 3 games coming into this game. And it was a pretty tepid affair. It was 0-0 at half-time. Arsenal dominated possession, 67% possession. They had 9 shots on goal for the game compared to 6 for Crystal Palace. Up front for Arsenal was Lacazette, Aubameyang. They haven't really displayed the goal-scoring form that we expected from them going into the season, but they have won 3 in a row going into this game, and they were the favourites. However, it finished 0-0, pretty tepid affair. Crystal Palace did have Zaha and Benteke and Eze up front for them, but what was lacking in both sides was conversion, and we ended up, as I said, 1-1 for the game. Let's go over to the games for Saturday, and a little bit more exciting start to the games on Saturday. First game up was Wolves. Wolves were playing host to West Brom, and Big Sam Allardyce, having recently taken over West Brom, they came in with no wins under Big Sam. They had no wins in the last 4. They were looking to try and get 3 points to have any chance of staying in the division. It started off well for them. Mateus Pereira scoring in the 8th minute for West Brom to give Big Sam and his side hope. That hope temporarily was extinguished because in the 38th minute, Fabio Silva equalised for Wolves, and Willy Bolly put them up in the 43rd minute going into half-time. Wolves were up 2-1. What I like about Big Sam is, on his history, is when he's come in to try and help rescue sides, he really gives them some steel and tries to motivate his players and get them old school to really start being gritty and work, put big shifts in. And it paid off because Semi Ajayi in the 52nd minute equalised for West Brom, and 4 minutes later, up stepped Mateus Pereira to take the penalty after a foul in the box, and he converts, and it's 3-2 to West Bromwich Albion. West Brom hold on despite Wolves having 68% possession, 16 shots on goal. Out of that, only 6 on target for Wolves. West Brom did have 6 shots fewer on goal, but they had 5 shots on target, and it's the conversion that counts. 3 points for Big Sam. I'm smiling because I really like Big Sam. He's, I think, historically, a good coach. He's had his ups and downs in coaching, but I have a feeling that he might have a chance to rescue this West Brom side. That being said, Wolves, that's 3 losses in the last 5 games. And West Brom have to be realistic as well. It's their first win in the last 5. But it does give hope. And football's a game of momentum, so let's see what happens. The next game up, the second game on a Saturday, my team, Leeds United, on a poor run of form, unfortunately. Two losses in the previous 4 games. They were looking to get back on track, having lost so far for this year, coming off the upset loss to Crawley Town in the FA Cup, and having lost 3-0 also to Spurs at the start of the new year. Well, Leeds United, 67% possession for them to 33% possession for Brighton. They both had poor shots on goal, only 2 shots on target for both sides. 17th minute, Leeds, man-to-man marking, very poor. Neil Maupay left unmarked. He had a simple tap-in. And it was 1-0 at half-time. Leeds played a little bit better in the second half. They made some changes. They brought on Tyler Roberts. But ultimately, very poor performance via Leeds. Yes, they're playing players out of position, which I have to look at Bielsa for that. Do we have injuries right now? Yes, we do. We didn't start Calvin Phillips. That wasn't due to injury, that was due to suspension. But we're trying to get back healthy and get the centre-backs fully healthy. We're still missing Robin Koch, who's, I think, a big miss. Diego Llorente didn't start for Leeds. But hopefully next game we hopefully can start Diego Llorente. We're playing a right back and centre back, Luke Ayling, and while he performed semi-okay, the performances by people like Alioski, very poor. Very poor performance by a Stroik in the holding defensive midfield holding role. A very poor supply for the attackers. A very poor supply for and poor performance by Patrick Bamford. And a very poor performance by players on the wing. I think just wasn't happening for Leeds today. On Saturday, I should say. And it stayed that way until the final whistle. Brighton take all 3 points. That's 3 losses in 5 for Leeds. Their defensive marking is atrocious. They're susceptible to counters. They're playing people out of position. You're playing a natural winger as a left back. You're playing a natural winger as a right back. You're playing a right back as a centre-back. You're playing a number 10 as a number 9. And the quality's not there. Leeds have, I think, in the top 2 with most crosses for the season so far. They're in the top 2 for shots on goal. They're in the top 3 for passing. And yet we sit mid-table, and that's 3 losses in 5. And for Brighton, that's their first win in the last 5. So good start for Brighton for momentum for the next few games, and Leeds really need to rediscover their form. And this is not the same Leeds side that played good, attractive, attacking football in the first 5. The goals have dried up. That's no goals in the last 3 games played. And we're giving up the second most goals in the Premier League. so far for the season. So something's got to change for Leeds. Hopefully next game we will see. The next game up on Saturday was West Ham. The Hammers were playing host to Burnley. The Burnley Clarets coming in, looking to move up the table, still rooted towards the bottom of the table. West Ham, both teams looking to get back on a streak. West Ham, they had only won one in the last 4 games going into the game. And Burnley had 2 losses in the previous 4 games. So fairly even affair, 55% possession to Burnley. They had only 5 shots on goal, only 2 on target. And West Ham took more shots on goal, 10 shots on goal for West Ham, 4 shots on target. They scored in the 9th minute. Michail Antonio back in the side. They welcomed him back. He is a fantastic striker, and he made it the final result. So it's 3 points for West Ham, well needed, and that's 2 wins in the last 5, and that's 3 losses in 5 for Burnley. The 4th game on Saturday was Fulham. Scott Parker's side, still in the bottom 3. They come in with 4 draws in the last 4 games. They've gotten 4 points out of the last 4 games. Not enough, but at least no losses in the previous 4 games coming in. Chelsea looking to make it 2 wins in 5, but if they won this game, they went in at half-time 1-0 up, thanks to they went in at half-time 0-0, drawn at half-time. They settled it in the 78th minute with an absolute cracker of a goal from Mason Mount. The youngster scoring. That was 13 shots on goal for Chelsea, compared to 8 shots on goal for Fulham. Fulham had Ademola Lookman and Cavallaro up front. It was Giroud, Christian Pulisic and Hikam Ziyech for Chelsea up front. They held out Mason Mount with the winner, 1-0 to Chelsea. That makes it 2 wins in 5 for Chelsea. Frank Lampard's position still under pressure, even with the win. Chelsea need to do more than have 2 wins in 5 matches, in the last 5, I should say. It's a good start. They had 70% possession. And let's see if they can start rediscovering their goal-scoring form. But 1-0 was sufficient for 3 points and the win. The last game on Saturday was Leicester City. Leicester City playing host to Southampton. Now, Southampton started the year in the first 5 games the hottest side in the division, and one of the hottest sides along with Everton. And they've struggled in the last 5. They've only had one going in. They only had 1 win in the previous 4 games. Leicester City had won 2 out of the last 4 games. They're coming in with the favourites, and I have to say, Leicester City look good. They're up front with the partnership of Barnes and Vardy. They look really good. They took the lead thanks to James Maddison in the 37th minute. It was 1-0 at half-time. It was a pretty even affair, however, 14-shot dominance to Leicester versus 8 shots for Southampton. But it's how many shots on target they count. 5 shots on target compared to only 3 for Southampton. Leicester City in injury time in the 95th minute. Harvey Barnes seals the deal for Leicester City. They take all 3 points. That's 3 wins in 5 for Leicester. They're looking really good. They've scored a lot of goals, and we'll go over stats at the end of the show for the season so far. But Leicester City take it, even though they gave up 53% possession to Southampton. Southampton, I have to say, were missing Danny Ings. They were starting Theo Walcott instead of Danny Ings up front with Shea Adams. And the goals are just not there. Only 1 win in 5 now for Southampton. So let's hope Danny Ings can come back and give them what they need, which is more goals, which they had earlier in the season. Let's look at today's games on Sunday. And you had Sheffield United, Chris Wilder's side coming in. They're rooted at the bottom of the table in 20th place. They had previously actually got their first win in 18 games in the previous game. So they were looking hopeful against Tottenham Hotspur coming in, who a bit shaky, only 2 wins in the previous, only 1 win in the previous 4 games. So Jose Mourinho's side also looking to rediscover their winning ways and goal-scoring ways. It was a great start to the game for Spurs. Serge Aurier with the goal in the 5th minute. Well taken goal, buried into the right side of the goal. In a 40th minute, right before half-time, Harry Kane with an absolute beaut. He took a few touches, managed to go around a couple of players and buried it into the right corner. 2-0 at half-time to Spurs. They had 9 shots on goal to 8 shots on target. 9 shots on goal, only 5 on target. It was David McGoldrick in the 59th minute. They gave some hope for the Blades and Chris Wilder's side. They had commitment. They didn't give up. They kept playing towards the end. However, what an absolute cracker of a goal for Ndembele Alvaro in the 62nd minute. Goal of the game, one of the goals of the season, and Spurs win 3-1. They take vital 3 points for Jose Mourinho. And, Kane and Son as a partnership, will again, when we go over stats for the season, they prove that via either scoring or assists, they are vital parts for Jose Mourinho's side. That is another loss for Chris Wilder's side, only 1 win in 19 games. So let's see what happens if they are able to start a winning run again, but I feel for Chris Wilder's side. Let's go on to the second game for Sunday, and that was the anticipated game between Liverpool and Manchester United. 66% possession for Jurgen Klopp's side. It was one of those games where Manchester United have been really good in the last few games. They've won 3 out of the last 4 games coming in to the game, and that's why they sat in first place in the Premier League. Liverpool, who earlier in the season were first place, have been a little bit tepid in the last 4 games prior to today's game. They had only 1 win in the previous 4 games. So, shaky run of form for Liverpool. 9 shots on goal for them compared to only 5 for Manchester United. It was 0-0 at half-time. In the second half, we saw some chances fell to Manchester United. Alisson with the terrific saves from Pogba and Bruno Fernandez. And it ended up 0-0. That's 1 win in 5 for Liverpool and 3 wins in 5 for Manchester United. And then we're on to the third game today and the last game today, because Aston Villa and Everton was postponed. And it was Manchester City playing host to Crystal Palace. Manchester City flying under the radar, which is hard to do really because it's Manchester City. But Manchester City coming in having won 4 out of the last 4. Hottest side in the last 4 games. They looked really good in this game. Dominant possession, 11 corners in the game, 73% possession compared to Crystal Palace's only 27%. 8 shots on goal, 6 on target, and they win over a Crystal Palace side that were anemic up front with no shots on target, only 1 shot on goal. They really missed Wilfried Zaha. He did not play the game. Benteke on the bench. Jordan Ayew, Eze and Arthur just didn't get it done. And it's too much. John Stone with the brace in the 26th minute and the 68th minute in the game. Sandwiched between where you had a Gundogan goal in the 56th minute, and in the 88th minute, Raheem Sterling wraps up 3 points for Manchester City, the Citizens. And Pep Guardiola's side make it 5 wins in 5. They're looking really good. I actually think that they will be in it to win it, Manchester City. Now that they've gotten more healthy bodies back, they've had more time to train. Didn't get a good, obviously, pre-season with COVID and everything else. And the injuries mounted in the first few games. 5 wins in 5 for them. Manchester City are going to be tough. And so let's keep an eye on Manchester City. So that's it so far for the games for, as I said, week 18 for the majority of the league. I'd mentioned the teams that have played 19 games. And then you had, including Crystal Palace. And then you do have games in hand for Aston Villa, having only played 15 games. And still an extra game or 2 in hand for Manchester City. And if they win their games, they would move into first place. Everton also have a couple of games in hand as well. Let's look at the table and then we can get into stats. So looking at the table, and let's look at form before we look at table. Let's look at the form in the last 5. So right now, the best form in the last 5 in the top 6 is Manchester City. They've won 5 out of 5. Manchester United, who currently sit in first place, they 3 wins, 2 draws in the last 5 games. Leicester City currently sit in third place. They've had 3 wins, 2 draws in the last 5 games. Liverpool, it's been shaky, even though they sit in 4th position in the league. Not far out, only a few points back. It's only 1 win, 3 draws and 1 loss in the last 5, which is uncharacteristic for Jurgen Klopp's side. Spurs, 2 wins, 2 draws in the last 5 and 1 loss. And Everton, that's 4 wins and 1 loss in the last 5. So, hottest sides out of the top 6 we just mentioned. That's Manchester City and Everton. So that's 9 wins, only 1 loss between the 2 sides in the last 10 games played between them. So let's look at some of the stats for the season so far. We're almost at the halfway point for the majority of the teams. Top scorers, we have Mo Salah having scored for Liverpool 13 goals. Harry Kane and Son, they've scored 12 apiece. Calvert-Lewin, Bruno Fernandez and Jamie Vardy having scored 11 goals in almost the halfway point. Bamford, that is 10 goals for Leeds in the first 18 games for Leeds. Callum Wilson with 8 goals for Newcastle and Wilfried Zaha for Palace. Again, Wilfried Zaha's missed a few games, so to have 8, decent haul for him. And remember, Calvert-Lewin, while he's scored 11 goals, Everton has only played 17 games, so that's a pretty good haul for him. Assists, some of the best players I've just mentioned are actually doing well with assists. So Harry Kane, while he scored 12 goals, he's also provided 11 11. That's right, 11 assists for Spurs. Kevin De Bruyne, that's 10 assists. He's a critical cog in the Man City side. I think he's the key to Manchester City's success. He pulls the strings. He pulls it out wide a lot of the times, but then for the goals, he provides the assist from an out wide position or sometimes in the middle of the park. He's a great crosser of the ball, a great provider. He sees the potential runs and is, I think, one of the best players for assists in the Premier League consistently. Bruno Fernandez with 7 assists and Jack Grealish, they show how important both are to their sides. Bruno Fernandez, in my opinion, is the best signing in the off-season and has made a difference why Manchester United, sit in first place. The Red Devils owe a lot to Bruno Fernandez, and what a great signing he has proved to be. Jack Grealish, him and Ollie Watkins really made a difference in the results for Aston Villa. And Son with 6 assists of his own to add to the 12 goals that he scored for Jose Mourinho's side. Pulling up also providing 5 assists for their team, Mateusz Klich for Leeds, Marcus Rashford for Man U, Andy Robertson for Liverpool, and Jamie Vardy, another scorer with an unselfish streak by providing 5 assists himself. Now, we're talking about goals. Well, where have some of these big numbers come from, some of these leading strikers? It's coming from hat-tricks. So Salah himself, of the 13 goals he scored a hat-trick for Liverpool against my side, Leeds United, first game of the season. Calvert-Lewin himself scored a hat-trick against West Brom back in September. Son, he scored 4 goals earlier in the season for Spurs. Jamie Vardy scored a hat-trick against Man City. Ollie Watkins in the 7-2 blowout of Liverpool for his side. Aston Villa scored for them a hat-trick in that game. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he scored... he scored a hat-trick in that. He should have had 4 in that game. Son actually scored 4 goals for Spurs. And so when he scored his at least a hat-trick, he scored 4 goals in that game. Patrick Bamford scored a hat-trick against Aston Villa. So of the 10 goals he scored, a hat-trick was against Aston Villa. And for Rio Mahrez, he scored a memorable hat-trick against Burnley. Now, it's not just the goal scorers, but it's also the clean sheets. Let's look at clean sheets. So Ederson has proved his worth for Manchester City. He saved them in 9 games by achieving 9 clean sheets so far, and City only having played 17 games. 9 clean sheets for Ederson in goal. What a great signing for Aston Villa in terms of Emilio Martinez. He's had 8 clean sheets for Aston Villa. And unheralded Alex McCarthy for Southampton, 7 clean sheets. And what a great signing for Chelsea. And Mendy has been for them. And a bunch of keepers on 6 clean sheets. De Gea for Man U, Fabianski for West Ham, Leno for Arsenal, Lloris for Spurs, Ilan Meslier for Leeds, having 6 clean sheets so far for the season. Nick Pope for Burnley, and of course, last but not least, having 6 clean sheets was Kasper Schmeichel for Leicester City. Now, goals overall, they're very important. I think they've been drying up for Liverpool, but Liverpool still lead the campaign so far for the season. They've scored 37 goals. Second best scorers, Manchester United at 34 goals. And Chelsea, 33 goals. Leicester, 33 goals. Spurs, 33 goals. And surprisingly, the sixth leading goal scorers as a team, my side, Leeds United. Unfortunately, if their defence was stronger, they'd be sitting in a better position in the league. So it's a combined, you've got to be good goal scorers, but you've also got to have a tight defence as well. Now, passing, some sides are pass heavy, Liverpool being one of them. They lead the way, having passed in the first 18 games. They've had 11,888 passes. That's right, 11,888 passes in the first 18 matches, which is absolutely insane. 17 matches. Man City's passed the ball 11,325 times. Chelsea, 11,005. Leeds United, fourth best passers, 9,712. Arsenal, 9,503. And Manchester United, 9,393. So they must work on passing those teams a lot in training. And they're a pass-dominant side. Now, crosses. Not surprisingly, Liverpool lead the way, 421 crosses into the box. Andy Robertson, I know a lot of the times, loves to provide those crosses into the box for Sadio Mane and Salah and Firmino and the others. But my team's one cross behind them. If they haven't dried up crosses in the last couple of games, Leeds would be sitting with the team with the most crosses. They're one cross behind in 420 for Leeds United. But the service has been, excuse my language, pretty piss poor for Leeds United. It's accuracy on those crosses or converting those crosses into goals that counts. And sitting third in the stats in terms of crosses, West Ham. Chelsea, 392 crosses, Arsenal, 368, and Wolves, 368. Those are the stats so far for the Premier League season as we near the halfway point for the campaign. We will see you back shortly. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of the week ahead. And we'll talk to you next week, where we'll have a panel of guests calling in, talking about their teams. And I'll provide the details later in the week so you can all follow in, and we'll have a longer period. Take care. Have a great one, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.